Hey everybody, Colin Stuckert here, the Wild CEO, founder and CEO of Wild Foods Co., based out of Austin, Texas, here in the Wild Studio. And today I want to talk about 5 health foods, or I should say health foods, that you really should never eat. This first food that has somehow managed to get a either heart healthy or even just healthy label by so many, which you see a lot in kind of the vegan and the vegetarian space, is soy protein, or just soy in general. Now, there is a way that you can make soy, and whether that be soy sauce or even like tofu and things like that, it can be made where it's not that bad for you if it's kind of done the artisan way, which like they do in, I believe, Japan is where they really do it. Maybe they do it in China too. But if they're doing it in an Asian country and it's really made in small batches and it's kind of made the old way, then that's kind of one thing. But the way it's made and used in the food manufacturing in our country is it's a heavily processed, heavily refined, they use chemicals and all these things to make this food stuff that's really not a food at all. I believe it was a waste product. They were trying to find out what to do with it from making something. I forget the exact history. I'm a little fuzzy on it, but I do know that the research surrounding just how bad it is for you is freaking mind-blowing. It is something you literally should never eat. If you look at the side of, let's say, a plant-based protein powder and you see soy protein on there, don't eat it. In fact, almost every food that you find that says ingredient soy, don't eat it. Now, there is one exception here, soy lecithin. Typically, soy lecithin, if it's organically certified and organically derived, it's not that much of a problem. I've talked to some people in kind of the paleo community that think it's basically okay by paleo standards. So that would be the one caveat and exception here. But for all the other forms of soy, whether it's fake like soy cheese or tofu or any of these other soy crap that you find, or even soy milk, that's the worst. Don't drink it. It increases estrogen. It leads to cancer. In fact, here's a list of the other things it's been linked with: breast cancer, cystic fibrosis, kidney disease, bladder cancer, and there's actually like 8 more things I'm not going to list off. Soy is, especially processed soy, is not good for you. Don't eat it. So if you see soy in a processed food or in the form of a powder or as an ingredient on the long ingredient list in some whatever food in the store, move on. And soy milk is not freaking good for you. It's not. It never will be. Don't drink soy. Women, children, men, don't drink soy. Number 2, it's not really a health food. A lot of people kind of know this, but people think when they go to a restaurant and they eat fish that they're doing something good for themselves. The problem is, unless you specifically find out from the chef or from the waiter who asked the chef, is this wild fish or is this farm fish? Most fish at restaurants is farmed, and there's a whole host of problems with farmed fish. One is they're fed artificial diet. A lot of times they are fed grains, which lead to an imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3. So when you're eating that farm salmon, a lot of times the omega-6, which is pro-inflammatory, 11 times to 20 times more than omega-3. And the reason salmon is healthy and wild-caught salmon is because of the omega-3. So when you go and eat farm fish and you're getting all these omega-6s, then you're not doing yourself any favors. You're actually doing harm, right? Because you're further skewing the balance of omega-6 to omega-3. There are certain banned pesticides that are often used. There's things like parasites, and because they don't move through like natural ecosystems and natural water, and like there's just all these problems. There's even some studies that they've been linked to. Let's see, dioxin is a heavy metal shown to be high in farm fish, as much as 11 times more compared to wild-caught fish, right? And fish in general, heavy metals is a problem you have to look out for because we pollute our waters, and those heavy metals get into the animals, and then when we eat those animals, it gets into our body. And so we have to always be conscious of all the seafood we're eating, but especially farm fish. Tilapia, farm tilapia is terrible. Don't buy it, right? Salmon is commonly farmed. Stay away from farm fish, really. You'd be better off with no fish than farm fish. Popcorn, specifically microwave popcorn. Even organic, in a bag microwave popcorn. Stay away from it. The next point is going to cover why corn is so bad, so you should stay away for that reason. But microwave corn specifically usually has PUFAs. It's basically a non-stick chemical. It's a non-stick coating that goes on the inside of the bag. And when you heat that in the microwave, that gets leached out into the popcorn, and then you ingest that. It's the reason why Teflon got a bad rap in like the 60s and 70s, because they were using these same chemicals that pretty much was leaching into the food as you cooked, right? Because as the surface breaks down, those heavy metals get into your food, and then you eat them. On a side note, stick with cast iron, guys. It'll last a lifetime. It's the best, all right? So stay away from farmed popcorn, microwave popcorn. And if there is farmed Farmed popcorn? I guess that would be just farmed corn. Yeah, that's another point. And we're going to that on the next one. The next one is one of these confusing categories. It's corn, and we probably shouldn't eat it. Most people should not eat it. First thing, corn contains lectins, and it contains proteins that your gut cannot digest. So what happens is it goes into your gut, and it causes disruption. It can lead to leaky gut, which basically tears small linings in your gut, which lets toxins pass through, and can cause a whole host of issues, from autoimmune issues to things that we don't even understand why it happens, IBS, things like that. Corn is a grain, and it attacks the gut. That should really be enough, but there's more. Corn is bad for you for other reasons. One of them being, it's pretty much empty calories. When you eat tortilla chips, which are just corn chips that have been fried, it's pretty much the same when you're eating just straight corn. You're eating grains, you're eating carbs and sugar, and there's almost zero vitamins and minerals, and almost zero fiber. A little bit of fiber, yeah, but it's just absurd how little nutrition there is in corn, and in general, you should stay away from it. In fact, if you're not getting organic corn, it's almost always GMO. It's a subsidized crop, and all the big food companies grow it to make corn syrup and all these other things like vegetable corn oil and all this crap that is bad for you. That's just, it's not natural in any way. In fact, did you know that corn is one of the only things in nature, I would say it's not even in nature anymore, but it's one of the only foods that requires human intervention or it won't grow. Like if we were to put corn in the wild and then leave it, it would die. It's almost the only plant that does that, because all other plants have things like animals will spread their seeds, or there's all these ways that plants in nature reproduce on its own. Corn, because we've been handling it so long for so many years, and basically relies on us. It's evolved to rely on humans to plant it and grow it and harvest it. What you can see, anytime humans get involved in nature and they try to take control, we screw things up. We haven't figured it out. So I would be very, very, very wary of corn at all, whether it's organic or not. And plus it's empty calories. It just is. This last one is a silent killer. I mean, most people don't really think of it as health food, but some people probably still do because they're stuck in the old paradigm of food and nutrition dogma that's been perpetuated by the big powers that be, the food companies, and just all the misinformation surrounding what fat does to your body, how it contributes or doesn't contribute to heart disease, and all these things. It is vegetable and seed oils. Corn oil, soy oil, cottonseed, grapeseed, seed oils. What are some seed oils? You know, even flax oil is touted as a health food. It's not. Peanut oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil. All of these, almost all of these processed refined vegetable oils and seed oils are loaded. And I mean loaded, guys. Like the majority is omega-6 and then omega-9 fatty acids, the pro-inflammatory fatty acids. I won't go into a big thing about omega-3s and omega-6s and omega-9s and all that. But in general, in nature, you find a kind of one-to-one balance. You find one, on one side you have omega-3s, and you have on one side omega-6s. And when we eat something that has fat, like let's say wild game, for example, it's generally going to have this even balance. It's going to have about the same amount of omega-3s to the same amount of omega-6s, depending on the animal, right? There's natural variation. Some animals even have even more omega-3, right? And those are just health bombs because they help you fix the balance. But what happens in our standard American diet is all this processed refined food, which is made from vegetables and plants, all those omega-6s, they come through, and they come through in all the processed food, and they come through in all the restaurant food, and it's the oil that's used in food manufacturing and frying at restaurants and cooking at restaurants. You find all of these cheap, ubiquitous, omega-6 laden, pro-inflammatory vegetable and seed oils, right? And then you get into vegetable oils, which are even worse for you because the high heat processing, the way they've been made. I mean, you don't find fat from plants in the plant kingdom, it's not a common thing. So because we grow massive amounts of them, because the government subsidizes things like corn and soy and things like that, we take these crops that are cheap for farmers to make and they process it down to make these industrialized foods that then food manufacturers use because it's cheap. And as a result, all that processed food from the fat perspective end, not even talking about the grains or the sugars or the other reasons why it's bad for you, and this is something that people don't know, like people don't talk about this that much, but one of the biggest problems with processed foods is the vegetable and seed oils, the fat that is used. You ingest that fat, and the American Western diet is already low in omega-3s, right? Because we're not eating enough wild meats, we're not eating enough wild-caught fish, right? We're not eating enough pastured egg yolks and things like that. Almost all of the food that's in our diet, the overwhelming majority of our food, is very high in omega-6 and then omega-9s and things like that. The more omega-6 you eat, the more you tip the scales in the wrong way, and the more this goes up, which is the omega-6 to omega-3, the more inflammation. And the more inflammation, well, everything goes wrong. Everything. You get fat, you get sick, more likely to get cancer, heart disease, you just don't feel good, you can't sleep. Everything. Inflammation in the body is kind of the thing that contributes to like all modern Western disease. Okay? So stay away from vegetable and seed oils. stay away from margarine, or I can't believe it's not butter, or any of that crap that they came out with when they tried to get you off saturated fat. Now again, I'll keep this short, but in general, saturated fat from good sources is actually a miracle food, and we all need it, right? We all need to eat saturated fat, and you find that in healthy animals typically. You find low omega-6s, high omega-3s, a natural omega profile, a natural just vitamin and mineral profile. The cleaner, the purer, the more natural the animal, and the more natural the diet of the animal that you eat. Like if cows eat grass, the better for you. If cows eat grains, because they're not meant to eat grains, the worse for you, because there's more omega-6s, among other things. Vegetables and seed oils are a literal killer. Stay away from them. So thanks for watching. I hope this video was useful, in that I hope you take action. I hope you start paying attention to the food you're eating. Is there canola? Canola's a big one. That's a big one that is kind of skating under the surface. People don't really know how bad it is. It's highly processed, not good for you. Soy oil and anything with soybeans, again, stay away from that. You know, safflower oil, sunflower oil. These are all things that you want to stay away from, and they're primarily in processed foods. So I hope this was useful. Again, stay away from some of these fake health foods and just live better and be better as a result. So make sure you slap the subscribe, jab the thumbs up, and leave a comment below. What are some fake health foods that you see people eat all the time? Fruit juice. I'm gonna do a whole another video on that. Fruit juice is one for sure.